Welcome to the Safari Mission Podcast. I'm Reverend Vidar Ligard.
And I am Reverend Catherine Ligard.
And we want to share with you the Word of God to bring to light areas that we have walked through in our own lives.
Let's get right to the Word.
And today, we're going to talk about how to increase the value of what you do.
In other words, your financial value, not your worth as a person, but what you can produce and how you can attract more opportunities that attracts more income and more finances in your life.
Right. So we all do stuff from day to day. Everybody says they're busy.
Yes.
And again, we're not talking about the value of you as a person. That's a whole different subject. Today we're talking about the things you do and how we can increase in the value of some of those things. Some companies, they're charging 30, 50, sometimes 100% more. Essentially, they're doing the same thing as other companies, but why is it that some can charge 30, 50, or even 100% more for seemingly the same thing? What makes the difference? What can we learn from, and what can we do better so that we can provide more value in everything that we do?
And I think we're going to talk about some of those things today because people think they're giving the same value when they're not giving the same value. So I want to just start with a couple of scriptures from Proverbs, and reading from the Passion Translation. And the first one is from Proverbs 10. And starting in verse 1, the wisdom of Solomon. When wisdom comes to a son, joy comes to a father. When a son turns from wisdom, a mother grieves. Gaining wealth through dishonesty is no gain at all, but honesty brings you a lasting happiness. The Lord satisfies the longings of all his lovers, but he withholds from the wicked what their souls crave. Slackers will know what it means to be poor, while the hard worker becomes wealthy. And let me also read from Proverbs 11, verse 1 to 3. Dishonest business practice is something that Yahweh truly hates, but it pleases him when we apply the right standards of measurement. When you act with presumption, convinced that you're right, don't be surprised if you fall flat on your face, but humility leads to wisdom. Integrity will lead you to success, but treachery will destroy your dreams. And so, as we talk about that, it's good to know that even God hates bad business practices. But those that uses the right standards of measurements, those that have humility, those that seek wisdom, those that seek knowledge, those that have integrity, he will also enable to give success.
Yeah, when you were saying there that God hates bad business practices, that reminds me he actually loves good business.
Exactly.
So how can we do good business? So what does that mean? Right now we're in the middle of a construction project.
Yes.
We are in Mombasa in Kenya, and we're working with a couple of different vendors for supplying the commercial or the industrial kitchen in that place. Done a lot of research, checked with a lot of different vendors, ended up with 2 different ones. One of those vendors is actually the top kitchen provider in the nation. One other one is, they're also good, maybe not quite the top of the game. They're definitely not bad, but we can also really tell the difference between the two.
Right.
With that top provider, so each company, they have a salesperson. So I'm working with the 2 different salespeople at the different companies. But at that top provider, that salesperson is definitely at a higher level. They call me almost on a daily basis to see how things are. And we have to understand one of the standard processes in good sales is to resolve any objections. So you present your solution. First of all, of course, you listen to the customer, listen to the needs. Don't try to sell what you have, but try to come with a solution that actually fulfills what the need of the customer is. Both companies did that. Both companies came with a proposal. But now, the one that is the top of the line, they're checking in on a regular basis. and see what is the hesitancy. Why have we not signed the contract? They're not asking that directly, but they're finding out what is the objection. What are some questions that aren't quite clear? And they keep on working through those questions on a day-to-day basis. And they do it in such a way that you actually end up wanting to do business with them, because you realize these are people that, for one, they listen. They came with a proposal that was very close. But then they find out, okay, what questions do we have? There's certain pieces, and then there are fryers, there are all kinds of different components, sinks, there are tables, there's serving dishes, there's gas lines, there's so many different components here. So we have certain questions that we don't know exactly, is that the best solution? They keep on checking in with us on a regular basis. And when you do sales, if you can resolve all the objections that a customer has, then that customer no longer has a reason to say no.
Because they're getting what they're looking for. They're getting their needs met. And I think so many people that I've seen in any type of sale, now you're talking about a large sale scale because it's a big kitchen, and that's like a bigger sale. But even in smaller sales, I frequently talk to people who maybe they have created something using wood, or they're selling shelves, or maybe a bed or a chair or some other small things. They're not thinking about what are you really looking for so I can meet your need. They're just trying to push their agenda on you. And that actually repels people. That actually makes you like, no, I don't feel like you're even listening to me. I don't even feel like you are here to help me get what I really need. You're just here to push your agenda on me. And that's never a good thing, because that's selfish.
Yeah, that's not a good sales process. Good sales is always finding the needs of the customers and trying to help fulfill those needs. And of course, no matter what product, what business you're in, what product you have, that product will never be a good fit for 100% of people.
Sure.
And so sometimes it's actually realizing early on, I'll never be a good fit in this relationship. And when you realize that, don't try to push that product in that relationship. Rather, find out who will be a good recipient for what you have to offer, so that you can truly meet somebody's needs. Because if you end up, maybe you're selling round pegs, one customer has a square hole, they want a square peg, you can try to push that round peg into a square hole, but that customer will never be happy, even if your product is actually really good.
It's a misfit.
It's a misfit, and so you will end up with getting bad referrals, which makes it really difficult for you to get your next customer.
Yes, and in the case of this kitchen that you're talking about, one of the things that you like about it is that they're holding the project for you. Too many places you have to be the one checking up, and that's never a good thing. If you're going to offer the best as the seller, you actually are the one who needs to hold the project and keep the customer updated, because the customer has his own life and is busy, and this is your job to do. And we got to understand our roles properly if you're going to be successful. And so for a salesperson in a company that's selling items, you got to understand that you're the ones that has to keep checking up, to keep following up. You don't leave that to the customers. You will lose a lot of sales if you do that.
Right. So we're talking three different areas here maybe. There's the sales process. You can do sales really well. You can do sales average. If you do it really well and really listen to the needs of your customer, that would really help. Then there is the actual workmanship of whatever you're providing. Very often two different companies might be the same on the workmanship, but like you say, the project management is really different. One company you may have to call, how's the project going? How's the project going? And it's almost like you have to push. And you feel if you don't keep on pushing, they may forget about you. That becomes burdensome on the customer when you really have to feel like you have to spend your own time and energy to make sure this project is moving forward. Maybe another company, they have better project management, and so instead of them waiting on you to be pushing, they are the ones that ensure the project is moving forward, and they periodically give you updates so that you know what's happening. Makes a huge difference in you wanting to work with one company that does project management well. They keep you informed, they keep the project moving forward, And if there is a stumbling block, they actually let you know, hey, we were to source this particular product red. The manufacturer we were sourcing for, they're out. It's going to be a 2-day delay. But at least you've informed your customer so they know what's happening. It actually builds confidence when you inform a customer of various hiccups you might have had along the way, as long as you're taking the right steps to resolve those hiccups.
Right, so communication is so important. And I've worked with different companies too. For example, printing books. We're printing books, and we now print with a very reputable company that they are on top of things. They usually have a turnaround of a certain amount of time, and they usually stick to that time. And if there's any hiccup, there are no weird stories to be found. They will tell you what's happening. They'll tell you straight up, we are sorry, we are experiencing a delay because maybe the printer broke down or maybe there was too much going on. But they will not just come up with this weird story that never makes sense, which we work with other companies that think they are good, but they're not good. There's so much drama with them. They can't deliver on time. When they deliver, the product is not good. It is not consistently good. You have to go through all the books and that, oh, by the way, the printing was not consistent, so the pages don't look the same in the different copies of books. And then you are, as the customer, the one who have to go through and check their work and tell them you didn't do a good job. And then they'll be, oh, I'll reprint that. I don't have the time to waste for that. I should not be the one to check your work. You should be the one checking your own work and delivering a good product that you can be proud of.
So in the printing example here, one company, they might be 15-20% less on price than the high quality printer. But they'll also have 20% of their product that is not up to standard. And you have to keep on working with them. That takes your time, it takes your energy, it makes you exhausted. So you would rather work with a high quality company. They do the project management well, and the product that you get, they do their own quality control. So whatever product you get has already been checked. You don't have to double and triple check their work because they did it themselves.
Exactly, and that's what you're looking for if you're gonna look for quality. That people who look for quality always look for that. So for me to work with someone who, not just that, but they have 10 to 20 to 30% more drama. They come up with stories, they're never on time, there's always a delay, and the story is always that the owner had to go on a trip and they left it with someone else, and that's the excuse they have for why the product wasn't 100%. But it's the same story everywhere, therefore it becomes just a story, and they're not owning up to their mistakes, they're not quality controlling themselves, and they're delivering a product they should not be proud of. Never deliver a product that you cannot be proud of yourself.
Right. So if you're on the other side, if you're the book printer now, how can you increase your value?
Right.
You have to do things the same way that high quality printers do. They don't have all these events that you should have been able to foresee, but now you call it an unforeseen event. But you deliver on time, you do your own quality control, and if you have 10% that just isn't quite up to par, you withhold that 20%, you deliver the 90% that is done, and you redo the 10% without waiting for the customer to demand that those things be redone.
Working with different publishing companies or printers, so to speak, I have realized that the cheap ones, they are not changing out their ink in time, and therefore you're getting pages that has bad ink, so that some of the words are missing or they're halfway there, because they're trying to go cheap. They're trying to use the ink as long as they can. The result is poor quality.
So you have some pages where black is faded, other
Right.
pages where red starts to get faded, and so forth.
So there's a consistency because they're not staying on top of themselves in quality checking their processes and procedures. Whereas a good printing company never have I ever seen an issue with that, because they know when the ink is running a certain low, they need to change that ink out so that you always produce good pages. So that's the processes that they have, internal processes to quality control themselves so that they always can deliver a good product.
Yeah.
And also consistency when cutting. So I'll find that in a cheaper printer place, The cutting is off sometimes. Some pages are cut not according to the bleed marks, because we deliver the files with the bleed marks, but there was not a preciseness in the person who were doing the cutting. Therefore, the bleed marks are still there and they didn't cut according to the instructions that were given. That's sloppiness right there. So they're sloppy. They're not following the procedures. They're not following the standards. There was nothing wrong with the file that they were giving. There was something, an error with following the instructions that were given. And that's another thing that's going to make you not do a good job, is not following the instructions you should follow.
Yeah. So now we're talking about the workmanship, the
Yeah.
actual workmanship between two different print shops. So there is the sales process, there is the workmanship, and then there is the project management and the customer service that goes together with that project management. I can think of another example, different lawyers. A lot of what lawyers do, they are regular business transactions. 90% of many business lawyers' work is almost, in a sense, it's mundane. They handle the same type of transactions over and over again. There's one lawyer here in Nairobi that I'm aware of, and he charges a very high premium for his services. He is twice, maybe even 3 times as expensive as a lot of other lawyers. And I've used him for a few different things, but there's one thing I noticed with him, and that is I did not need to follow up on the project. He would keep me informed of the processes, and maybe he had to get certain things done at a government office, but instead of having delays being caused or having to have me follow up or having him come back, there's a delay here, it's going to cost a little bit more money. There are none of those stories. He's able to push through, but then he keeps me updated on what the process is like. So I never feel like I have to follow up. I still have to hold the project. And that's really what you're looking for as a customer. When you go to high quality businesses, you're looking for that business they understood your needs properly, they took proper notes during the sales meeting, so they know exactly what you're looking for, and then they own up to delivering that project. And there aren't unexpected delays. Should there be something, they will communicate about it, so that I don't have to sit and waiting, I have to follow up on that project. I have to remember to make that phone call. Then there are others that they handle the same type of business transaction. The end result's going to be the same, but you have to follow up. You have to call. It takes time, takes energy, and that's why somebody's willing to pay a lot more for that one lawyer that handles all of this, and they can charge a premium because they handle the project management side of what they do at a higher level.
Right, so that just shows that this is found in any industry and in any profession. It's not just talking about someone who's creating an item, physical item, craftsmanship. It is also producing a physical product. It is also in the services provided.
Yes.
It's in the service. So it's in every industry. You find a difference, and you find that's why some can charge more and others cannot. And
even if you're not in business, if you're an employee, it's the same thing for an employee. You have some people that work for you, and when you give them something to do, there has to be a whole lot of interaction, a lot of back and forth, a lot of follow-up. Hey, how is this project going? Then you have other employees, they have learned to read your personality, they have learned what you want done, how you want it done, and they go get it done. And if there is any hindrance along the way, once again, they follow up with you so that you feel like they are owning the project versus you having to hold the end of the line, so to speak.
Right. It makes a huge difference. And so if you're looking at anyone who works in a company or organization, and you're wondering why some people are paid more, you can look at those things and see maybe that's the difference. That maybe if anyone's getting promotion, it's going to be the one that makes the leader's job easier. And it's not going to be the one that you have to constantly remind them to do their job. And it's not going to be the one that just barely does their job. It's going to be the one that goes above and beyond and does their job well, and is on time, and they remember everything that has to do with their job, and they also help you updating you. You know what's happening. You don't always have to check in, but they are giving you the feedback and the communication that you need to do your job. Thank you for tuning into the Safari Mission podcast. We hope you've been blessed today. To learn more about us, visit safarimission.org. You can also follow along with our ministry and work in East Africa on Facebook, Instagram, X, which is Twitter, and YouTube at Safari Mission. To purchase any books written by Reverend Vidar, visit safarimission.org. If you're interested in joining Rhema Bible Training College Kenya, visit rhemakenya.org or call 07-14-915-799. We'll be back next week for more teaching. Until then, God bless you.